I'd like to thank you all for being here and sharing your day with us. My name is John Wright. I'm the Director of Public Relations for Hardin County Schools. And on behalf of our students, our faculty, and our staff, we would like to welcome you to our 2024 Distinguished Alumni Luncheon. We also welcome you to the Hardin County Schools Early College and Career Center. EC3, as we call it, is home to several career pathways for students. High school students in the Hardin County Schools receive instruction here at health science, engineering, automotive technology, welding, information technology, culinary arts, as you're seeing firsthand, multimedia production, and aeronautics. There are nearly 40 career pathways for our students at either this location or at their home high schools of Central Hardin, North Hardin, or John Hardin. Students also use EC3 as a conduit to Elizabethtown Community and Technical College to take courses that will earn them high school and college credit. More than 200 students in about 4 years of our consortiums have graduated from Hardin County Schools with an associate degree. And I'm the very proud father of one of those, and hopefully another one will do the same here at the end of this school year. There are some exciting new opportunities for our students in our district. Local industrial provider of lift equipment for service industries, Altech, just committed $95,000 for a middle school STEM program that is called We Build It Better. It lays a foundation for students to understand the process of developing a new product and equips them with the skills to design and create innovative solutions to real-world industry-based challenges. Mr. Valentine, you could have used that in your future profession if you'd had it here at school. You'll hear more from Mrs. Morgan later about our Portrait of a Learner. This initiative will give our students an even greater advantage when they enter college or the workforce by focusing on 5 characteristics of success. Our project-based learning strategies are paying dividends in and out of the classroom. Reading, writing, and mathematical instructional procedures are yielding a large amount of growth over the time of a school year. The district's Grow Your Own program is helping us keep quality educators here at home. Through partnerships with the post-secondary institutions like Western Kentucky University and investments from our Board of Education, students and classified staff members are taking education classes at a reduced rate and are promising to return to Hardin County Schools to teach after they earn their degree. New school buildings like Lincoln Trail Elementary, Cecilia Valley Elementary, new East Hardin Middle School, and a massive renovation at Central Hardin dot the landscape of Hardin County. As a matter of fact, we broke ground this morning on a new West Hardin Middle School. And even though it's just 10 years old, we're looking for an expansion here at the Early College and Career Center. So as you can tell, Hardin County Schools is still the lifeblood of the communities here at home. We'd like to welcome some special folks here today. Some of our Board of Education members are here. Mr. Ben Sego is our Vice Chair. He is here. Members, Mr. Charlie Wise, Mr. Steve Bland, and Mr. Mark Casey. Judge Larry Ashlock is here. And I'm sure there's lots of other all of you all are very important. Well, I'd also like to welcome our Chief Academic Officer, Mr. Greg Sutton. He's in the back of the room. And our Chief Operations Officer, Mr. John Stith. And you'll get to see Mrs. Morgan, our Superintendent, later on. So again, thank you for being here. Deacon Sears, if you would like to come up and bless our food, we would appreciate that. So, or any other or any other distinguished alums that we've recognized in years past, or you all, is anybody else here? Yes, Bryce Shoemate is here. Yes, several folks here. Awesome. Well, thank you all for being here. So, Deacon Sears. Thank you.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we thank you for bringing us together today to honor not only the distinguished graduates of Hardin County Schools, but the administrators and teachers who inspired them to go on in their education and continue lifelong learning. Be with us as we enjoy these memories of these times and this growth in education and in their lives and in their professional conduct and their effect on our community. Bless this food to the nourishment of our bodies and those who have prepared it for us. Bless us, O Lord, and these thy gifts which we were about to receive from thy bounty, through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Deacon. Appreciate it. Our culinary arts students do a fabulous job. They have prepared our lunch today and are serving it to you. So when you see them out and about here in the room, just give them a hand and tell them thank you, and we'll recognize them later on in our in our program. Well, we hope that you've enjoyed lunch. It was very, very good. Our culinary arts students, they are students, so they have proceeded either on to a next class period or, but they couldn't come back in here to receive your congratulations. But I told Chef Ramsey we would congratulate them and thank them from afar, so please join me in doing that. So thank you to them. Chef Ramsey and Chef Keisha Pitt do a great job in preparing those students. We want to honor our honorees today and recognize them and thank them for being here. We are truly grateful that you and your families, and the families that you represent could be here today. We're so grateful for everyone taking time out of their day to be here. It's time now to meet our honorees and to hear from them and their families about the foundation that they received in Hardin County Schools. Mrs. Morgan, our superintendent, will be presenting our honorees with an award. We do ask our honorees, when you come to the podium, to please stand for a picture with Mrs. Morgan when she gives you your award, and then you feel free to make some comments. So our first honoree could not be here today. She's under the weather, and so her father is here. So we're going to read a little bit about Donna Preston Dennis. She is a 1994 Central Hardin High School alumna. She earned nursing degrees at both Eastern Kentucky University and Indiana Wesleyan University. She practiced as a registered nurse for the University of Kentucky Healthcare System since 2005. Mrs. Dennis started her career at the Kentucky Children's Hospital in the Pediatric Intensive Care Unit. She then accepted a new role as an adult heart transplant coordinator. She is currently the most tenured heart transplant coordinator at the University of Kentucky Medical Center, the state's leading heart transplant center, and is considered an expert in the field of medicine. Mrs. Dennis has become one of the most knowledgeable nurses in the Commonwealth and across the country in advanced heart failure therapies and heart transplantation. She mentors high school students who are interested in health-related careers by coordinating observation experiences each summer. She also started the UK chapter of True Friends, that's TREW, a student-run organization to promote organ donor awareness on most college campuses. She has contributed to multiple medical journals regarding heart transplantation, advanced heart failure therapies, and extracorporeal membrane oxygenation, a life-saving medical therapy. She created the first and only private transplant coordinator forum on Facebook during the pandemic, so coordinators could collaborate and share ideas on how to manage transplant patients who had COVID. Since then, the group has grown to over 500 members with representation of all organ groups from several states and other countries. As we said, Mrs. Dennis also volunteers with Donate Life Kentucky and the Kentucky Lion's Eye Foundation. She could not be here today, as we said, but she's on the road to recovery from an illness. So please help me welcome her father, Mr. Don Preston. Mr. Preston.
Okay. Well, I'm glad he made sure to tell y'all her dad was coming. Well, if I had a girl look like this, Mama would be in trouble. Now, my girl wrote this, so I'm going to just read off what she said, and I may not even able to pronounce some of these words right. But anyway, she said, good afternoon. I apologize for not being able to accept this award and express my gratitude in person. However, I was diagnosed with COVID a few days ago, and I did not want to put anyone at risk by attending the award ceremony. I am overjoyed knowing that my hero, my dad, I've been her guinea pig now for 48 years, is accepting this award on my behalf. My parents deserve the recognition for instilling the value of solid work ethic in me, which began as a child and has served me well into my adulthood. They taught me that I must always work for what I want, be grateful for what I have, and show compassion for those less fortunate. When I reflect on my life, I am reminded of how God has blessed each step with His purpose for a greater plan. Time and time again, He has placed people in my life to guide me and encourage me. To the staff at Howell Valley Elementary School, where I attended kindergarten through the 8th grade, thank you all for giving me a strong educational foundation and for teaching me to believe in myself. This includes the teachers, office staff, cafeteria staff, bus drivers, janitors, librarians, and counselor. They were my village because they treated me like family, which made me feel safe, loved, and capable. It's almost done. I would like to share a specific moment in time that set my future in motion, because up until that day, I was just a social butterfly who tended to be quite mischievous. During my 6th grade year, Bob Cowan, the school counselor, called me into his office and let me know that he had reviewed my state assessment test scores and I had the capability to achieve anything. He believed in me and gave me the confidence to believe in myself. I had reconnected with several of the Howell Valley staff through social media, and I hope they know that my success is direct reflection of their efforts. I knew at an early age that I wanted to be a nurse. Although supportive, my parents did not attend college, so they were not familiar with the application process, but God placed someone in my life who helped me and my parents navigate the process. Throughout my college years, there were obstacles to overcome, but God continued to put people in my path to help me pursue my dream to be a nurse. That was 24 years ago, and I have worked at the University of Kentucky Medical Center for the last 20 years. I am so grateful for the opportunity and knowledge that has allowed me to help those in need, for that has always been my life's mission and purpose. My most important role in life is being the mother of 3 wonderful children who have also supported the demands of my career. I hope that I have provided them with an example of how to be successful in life by trusting God's plan, giving their best effort no matter the task, overcoming adversity, staying humble, and always having compassion for others. I am incredibly honored for being nominated and chosen as a recipient of the 2024 Hardin County School District Alumni Award. I would like to thank my husband, Harold, for nominating me for this award and for always encouraging me to pursue my dreams. His life inspires me every day. Thank you all. And thank you all for putting up with me. They heard me pretty good. You did well.
Mr. Preston, she did ask me to videotape a little bit and send that to her, so.
Oh, yeah, she's going to keep passing.
Absolutely. Absolutely, so. And she still is, that's right. That's why she's getting this award today. You taught her great leadership skills. Thank you, Mr. Preston. Our next honoree is Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Holt. He graduated from North Hardin High School in 1985. He was a member of the Air Force ROTC program while he attended the University of Louisville. He graduated from the U of L Speed School with a degree in electrical engineering. He spent 21 years in the United States Air Force, stationed throughout the United States and across the globe. He was recognized throughout his career with the following commendations: the Bronze Star Medal for his service in the Middle East. That's our class change bell. Meritorious Service Medal, the Air Force Commendation Medal with 1 Oak Leaf Cluster, the Army Commendation Medal, the Joint Service Achievement Medal, the Air Force Achievement Medal, the National Defense Service Medal, the Global War on Terrorism Medal, and the Korean Defense Service Medal. Lieutenant Colonel Holt earned master's degrees from Webster University in Human Resources and the Air Force Institute of Technology in Engineering and Environmental Management. He earned a PhD from Auburn University. He rounded out his career at the Air Force Institute of Technology as a professor, where his students voted him Professor of the Year in 2003, 2006, and 2009. After retirement from the Air Force, he spent 9 years at Mississippi State University as an associate professor in the Department of Management Information Systems from 2010 to 2019. He taught at Louisiana State from 2019 to 2021 and fulfilled a lifelong dream to return to his alma mater, the University of Louisville, in 2021 as an associate professor in management and entrepreneurship. His passion was entrepreneurship, family business, and organizational change. He has endowed scholarships in his name at both Auburn and the University of Louisville. Lieutenant Colonel Holt passed away in 2022. Please help me welcome Lieutenant Colonel Holt's daughter and sister, Miss Kelly Holt and Miss Margaret Duncan. Thank you all.
I've become that person that needs to pull out her readers when she makes a presentation or has a few words to say. I'm not Danny's daughter. I'm actually his sister. And this is his wife. So, just a little thing. I'm not quite that old. My sister Alexi, sister-in-law Kelly, and I would like to say thank you on behalf of our family for this award. Danny would be genuinely humbled by the honor. Trust me, he would have put it on his CV immediately. Danny was funny, he was kind, he was compassionate, he was very, very smart, and he was very, very competitive. Alice Wittenbach, who is one of my lifelong friends, a retired teacher of Hardin County, and the person that nominated Danny, could probably tell you what it was like to play a game of Scrabble with him. He always liked to win. Eddie Rain, who's the other half of his state championship debate team, could also tell you a little bit about what Danny was like when he was laser focused on winning. Danny ran cross country and was a member of the speech and debate team while at North Hardin. Both his love of running and the desire that he had to debate a hot topic, whether he agreed or not, stayed central to his life. Lois Weaver, whose daughter Cindy was one of my best friends in high school, Judy Legans, who was our speech coach, and Susan Cross both made very lasting impressions on Danny. Danny went to the U of L on an ROTC scholarship, which wasn't so out of the ordinary since we were products of a military family. In a News Enterprise article that was written about Danny and Eddie right before they went to the state championship, he was asked what he wanted to do, and he said he was going to be an electrical engineer. For the record, he never practiced as a double E. He spent most of his Air Force career as a civil engineer. As a young lieutenant, he made a presentation, and after that presentation, somebody came up to him and said, "Wow, that was amazing. Have you thought about being a teacher?" I don't think that was the moment when Danny started thinking about teaching as his calling. But did I mention that he was smart? He figured out how to get the Air Force to pay for both of his master's degrees. And y'all, he was stationed at Auburn for 3 years. All he had to do was show up at the ROTC building once a month in his uniform to prove he was still there. I think it were the latter years in his career where he knew he was called to be a teacher.
Danny was committed to lifelong learning, not just for himself, but hopefully for his students. He taught at the Air Force Institute of Technology, Mississippi State University, Louisiana State University, and the University of Louisville. His 50th scholarly publication, which was a goalpost for him, will be published later this year. While proud of his scholarship, He would tell you that the accomplishments of his students were what he treasured most. He gave everything to his classroom experience and his students. Every class was an orchestrated performance, believe me, to give his most to his students. And he was a rigorous professor, which often meant he was not a favorite professor at the beginning of the semester. But as John mentioned, he went on to win 3 Professor of the Year awards and a Best Classroom Experience. They soon learned that he was invested in them and he wanted them to succeed. When I helped him prepare his tenure package, I was not at all surprised to find that he not only had his evaluation data, but he also kept notes from students, positive and negative. While he cherished the positive messages, he appreciated the not-so-great ones to help him grow as an educator and improve his courses. I continue to receive messages from his students about the impact he had on their lives. I could share many of these, but in the interest of time, I will share one. Danny was someone who made me love the University of Louisville. He was truly a role model and a mammoth personality for the College of Business. All of his lessons will stick with me for a long time. Danny will continue to teach me for a long time. Danny will continue to teach me as I grow and apply his teachings, but more importantly, by trying to emulate his attitudes about education, thought, and what it means to be a great person. Danny's foundation for these attitudes are rooted in his time at North Hardin High School. Danny's legacy lives in his students, colleagues, friends, family, and former teacher and classmates. Thank you for honoring him as a distinguished alumnus. And finally, a fierce supporter of all his alma maters. Danny would be appalled if I didn't say, "Go Trojans."
Thank you, Mrs. Holt and Mrs. Duncan. Appreciate you all. Our next honoree is Lieutenant Colonel Janan Lachey Smith. She is a 1993 graduate of North Hardin High School. You all see the trend, North Hardin High School and lieutenant colonels? Ms. Young, what's your deal? Come on. Okay. She is currently serving in the United States Air Force as the Air Reserve component, reigning chief for the Air Force Judge Advocate General School, Maxwell Air Force Base in Montgomery, Alabama. In this position, she planned, coordinated, and executed the Air Force JAG School's largest ever on-site training with 500 plus attendees, 31 staff, 51 presenters, and 73 hours of instruction across 42 unique course topics. Before her selection as the ARC Training Chief, Lieutenant Colonel Smith served as the Staff Judge Advocate for the Kentucky Air National Guard, the 123rd Airlift Wing in Louisville, Kentucky. There, she was a legal advisor for the Wing's first Flying Evaluation Board and the trial counsel for the Wing's first Officer Discharge Board. She oversaw the Wing's drug testing protocols and contract conversion, helping the Wing achieve 100% compliance for the first time. Lieutenant Colonel Smith also served with the National Guard Bureau, Joint Base Andrews, Maryland. As an investigator, she successfully closed 17 sexual assault investigations, 15 as the lead investigator, within 18 months, helping to reduce a year-long backlog by 50%. And as an assistant general counsel, she reviewed and processed over 1,220 issues, increasing the action rate of the director of the Air National Guard, a three-star general, by 98%. Before joining the United States Air Force, Lieutenant Colonel Smith prosecuted felony offenses with the Hardin Commonwealth Attorney's Office and prosecuted misdemeanor offenses with the Hardin County Attorney's Office, both based here in Elizabethtown. She is a University of Kentucky J. David Rosenberg College of Law alum and is the proud founder and primary benefactor of the College of Law's Be Encouraged Scholarship, which is awarded each semester. Please help me congratulate and welcome Lieutenant Colonel Janan Lachey Smith.
Well, good afternoon and thank you. Thank you, John Wright and Hardin County Schools for this recognition as distinguished alumni. And I want everyone to know, I am Hardin County Schools. Parkway Elementary, Radcliffe Middle School, and North Hardin High School, and I started pre-Windows. If you know, you know. So I am, and I am proud to be Hardin County Schools. And what I've learned during my time as a student in Hardin County Schools and what I continue to learn is that no matter how good of a job I do or I think I've done, I am not the arbiter of such. It is time and the opinions of others that determines our success. And so I am honored that time and the opinions of others have brought me to this moment. And so in anything that I've done and anything that I continue to do, I recognize that I've done the work. I recognize that I showed up, I got up early, I stayed up late, that it was my blood and my sweat and my tears. However, I would not be able to do anything without the love and the support, the friendship, without the pushing and the pulling and the encouragement of those who are in my personal sphere. So more than anything, I appreciate this moment in time and this opportunity to be able to publicly thank just some of the people who are a part of the reason why I stand here today. And so first, to my mother. My father passed away 11 years ago, but my mother taught me strength, how to be a warrior, and resilience. What a lot of people don't know about her, and I'm going to go ahead and tell this because I tell everybody whenever I get the opportunity. My mother lost her father and her husband 36 hours apart. She buried her father on a Thursday and then turned around just a few days later and buried her husband. And she never hid from the world. She never stopped being a mother or a grandmother or a great-grandmother. She never stopped being a friend. She never stopped taking care of people. And so I learned that strength and resilience from my mother. And if I stand here for no other reason, it is because of her. And I thank you that no matter where I am in the world, I know that you are cheering me on. To my baby sister, Kenitha Dorsey, no matter how sassy you get, I thank you that you have my back. And there are times when I doubt myself, and my baby sister will say, and this is a quote, "I think you can do it." And so I thank you for all of those moments. To Dr. Henry Claude Rashad, I love you so much. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate your presence, that you are a rock for my mother, that you have been a rock for our family, that you walked us through a cancer diagnosis when we didn't know what to do, and you stood there and you made sure that we understood what questions to ask and how to work through that. And so I thank you for your love and your strength and your presence in our lives. To Susan Strebel, Susan will tell you that she hasn't done anything for me. However, there was a time when I was at a crossroads in my career, and it was in the middle of the day. All right? And we are busy. We were busy attorneys. It was busy. And I remember I was out in my car and I was crying and I called Susan and I said, I just have decisions to make. And what Susan did for me in that moment was that through my tears, she objectively and logically helped me process those decisions through my emotions. And that is part of the reason why I stand here today. Because even in that, what you did was you taught me how to be a friend when you don't have the answers. And I will forever be grateful. To Shane Young, to the Commonwealth's Attorney of Hardin County, I thank you for your friendship. I thank you for being a fierce friend. I thank you for being a protector and being a fixer. I thank you that whenever I had questions, and I have had a lot, that whenever I've had questions, you made sure to have the right answer. You didn't just throw an answer. You would find the right answer for me in that moment. And you may not know this, but you have been a part of every single move I have made since you and I have met. And I thank you so much. And again, I will forever be grateful. Love you to pieces. So last night, I had dinner with Coach Bill Dennison. He's my very first track coach. I invited Miss Maria Battistoni. She was not here today, but she sent me some flowers. But who is here is Coach James Webb. And I want everyone to know about him that he has a gift to be able to recognize what an athlete needs in the moment. He can look at a particular athlete and understand how that person needs to be successful. Now, I will tell you that, yes, he did that for me. However, he's the great coach that he is because I was the athlete that I was, okay? I want everybody to understand that. And so although I was his very first athlete to go to the state championship, he was the coach who got me there. And so when it comes to understanding hard work, I learned it. I learned part of that on the track with this coach, and I greatly appreciate you for all of that. You have heard that I've been blessed to do some fabulous things in the United States military. I just woke up one morning and just said, I think I want to join the military. And Judge Bland can tell you that's true. I was like, I think I'm just going to join. And so I did, and I'm here. And if you know anything about the United States military, it is the enlisted corps that is the backbone of everything that we are able to do in any of the services. And so of the things that you heard that I was able to do, I would have been able to do none of it without Chief Master Sergeant retired Gary Spalding, without Senior Master Sergeant, soon-to-be Chief Elizabeth Lucas, and without Master Sergeant, soon-to-be Senior Master Sergeant Samantha Lucas. Yes, they are sisters. I would not be able to do anything without these individuals because every now and then as an officer, we can walk into a room and officer some things up. That means mess it up. And these three individuals did not allow me to do that. And so I want to say publicly that everything that I've been able to do in uniform, you all were there in some kind of way. And I want to say thank you for allowing me to show up every day, but to make sure that I showed up ready. And I will forever be grateful. Finally, to my brother, Bryce Shoemate. To the one that whenever he gets a chance, he tells someone what my nickname is, right? Every time he gets a chance, and that's fine. I don't even care anymore. I mean, I really do, but whatever. So, to my brother, Bryce Shoemate, and Kim could not be here. I love you. I absolutely appreciate you because in the worst moment of my life, you showed up, and not only did you take care of me, you took care of my entire family, and I could go into a whole dissertation, but I won't, because I know that you know, and I know. And I thank you for recommending me for this recognition. I thank you for loving me and my family. I thank you for being my brother, and that whenever I need anything, if I don't have anywhere else to turn, I can turn to you. And so again, thank you all for this recognition. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate you all for thinking of me.
Thank you, Colonel Smith. Anybody that can love Bryce Shoemate has my respect. You know I'm messing with you. You know I'm messing with you. I guess I love you too. I'm joking. All right, our next honoree is Gary Valentine. Mr. Valentine is a 1985 East Hardin High School alum. He is currently an executive advisor for the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, where he assists program managers or project managers on major projects such as the Brent Spence Bridge in northern Kentucky, Interstate 69 in western Kentucky, and the Mountain Parkway in eastern Kentucky. After earning a civil engineering degree from the University of Kentucky, he went to work for the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, where he has spent more than 3 decades. The first 18 years were in the District 4 Elizabethtown office as a design engineer, project manager, and pre-construction branch manager. In 2008, he moved to the State Highways Engineers Office in Frankfort, where he has served as the Kentucky Project Manager for the Louisville, Southern Indiana, Ohio River Bridges Project, Deputy State Highway Engineer for the Office of Project Development, and now as an Executive Advisor. During his time on the Louisville, Southern Indiana, Ohio River Bridges Project, Mr. Valentine led the team through the supplemental environmental impact statement that reduced the project's cost from $4.1 billion to $2.4 billion. As a taxpayer, thank you. And recognized the implementation of tolling to help support the financing of the project. In parallel, he helped negotiate a development agreement between Kentucky and Indiana and then led Kentucky's team through the financing and design, build, procurement for the downtown crossing portion of the project while supporting Indiana's team through the public-private partnership procurement for the East End crossing. As Deputy State Highway Engineer, Mr. Valentine was responsible for the overseeing of the delivery of the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet's legislatively enacted statewide $1 billion annual construction program. During this time, Mr. Valentine also worked with the University of Kentucky to establish a project management training program referred to as a Project Manager's Boot Camp, in which all project managers are required to participate before leading a project. Please help me congratulate and welcome Mr. Gary Valentine.
Well, there's nothing like following an attorney. So I'll have to say, when John called me, he said my sister nominated me with just a wonderful, nice letter recommendation. And in my mind, I'm thinking, is he talking to the right Gary Valentine? You all know there's another Gary Valentine in the Hardin County school system. So, no, both Debbie, she's here today with my family. We're extremely blessed, and she'll say this too. We have two wonderful parents who are also here, Chester and Lula Valentine. My dad just turned 88 last month. My mom will soon hit another milestone in February. We won't say that. So, but we're blessed. You're talking about selfless, sacrificial parents. They gave up a lot, so my sister and I had every opportunity at success we could get, and I really do appreciate everything they've given us. If you don't mind, I'd like to give them a round of applause. My wife's also here, my better half. No, she's my best friend. She's been with me throughout my career. When I made the decision to go to Louisville in 2008, it was not easy. First 18 years being here in the Elizabethtown district office, generally just around 11 county area, I was always here. In 2008, I think her daughter had 2 years left in high school and our son was still in elementary school. And I wasn't necessarily going to be there in the morning when they got up or in the evening when they got home. So she sacrificed a lot for me to take the position I did on a statewide basis, and I truly do appreciate that also. And Jill, my wife, she's a retired school teacher, early elementary school teacher, and one thing I can tell you honestly about her is she cared about her students. And I'll say that about Hardin County Schools. There's not a teacher, coach, administrator that I had, I can sum it up, they cared. It's hard to believe, but it was 51 years ago when I entered Miss Hilton's first grade class at Lincoln Trail Elementary School. So Lincoln Trail, it was a home away from home for us kids who grew up on Tunnel Hill Road. It's where we not only walked to school, but we visited the playground. We mastered bike riding. We went sledding during snow days. We played basketball, baseball, football. We were there when it was open. We were there when it was closed. It's where I gained my first love for math and basketball. Mr. Edwards was our school principal. He was also my first basketball coach. Todd Veers, my best friend growing up, and I starred on that team, undefeated season. So I'll say this, Todd and I recently reconnected, got together, and we sat there and reminisced, and I think we peaked that year. So, but it's where we both started. We had a goal. Both of us were going to play for the University of Kentucky basketball, and I'll share that story a little bit. But when thinking back, and I tend to ramble. I got notes, but I've done a lot of presentations and stuff, and the communications people can't keep me to script. But Mr. Smith and Mr. Pepper, just to demonstrate how they cared, every sixth grade class in Lincoln Trail before then, and I'm sure after that, and I don't know if they still do because not sixth grade's not there anymore, but went on an environmental trip in the sixth grade year. And where they typically go, the cabins were undergoing repair renovations. There was some heavy damage to them. So Mr. Smith and Mr. Pepper actually went to Eastern Kentucky, visited for a day or two, and tried to find a place for us to go and achieve that. They wanted us as sixth graders to have that same opportunity. So kind of moving on to Hardin Central, where I started middle school, I think it was 1979. Miss Scott, she challenged me in algebra and geometry. And my mom, bless her heart, she kept my report cards, which I found recently. And I looked up until then, and I did pretty well in math, all the way up until ninth grade when I had Miss Scott for geometry. And she had me in eighth grade for algebra, straight A's. Ninth grade, just looking at my report card, it had 3 simple words: can do better. And you know how well that went over in the Valentine household. So they cared, they taught, they encouraged, and they corrected when they needed to correct. Coach Buckles, he was my ninth grade basketball coach at Hardin Central. And for some reason, I got a lot of bench time that year. And there's nothing like a motivator for the bench time. And I knew I needed to get back out to those Lincoln Trail courts because he's crushing my University of Kentucky basketball dream by sitting on the bench. East Hardin, as a sophomore, managed to make the basketball team and stuff. Of course, now we're big men on campus, right? No matter how the wins and losses were, we were big men on campus. Miss Reed taught me calculus, and she actually recognized some potential in me with problem solving, and she pulled me aside and talked to me a little bit about, thinking about some career that had a math background. I said, Miss Reed, I'm a basketball player. So, but who knew I'd go on to major in civil engineering, which actually required 4 semesters of calculus. Both Coach Morris and then Coach O'Brien, my senior year, they taught me point guard skills. They always taught me to get my teammates involved and shoot less. I'm not real sure why they said that. But Coach O'Brien, after our senior season, he actually took Todd Veer's, we have this goal, we're going to play for UK. But after our senior season was over, he took us to a basketball showcase at Lambeth University in Jackson, Tennessee. I'm not sure if it was intentional or not, but Todd and I recognized when we left there, our basketball careers were probably over and playing in college. I will say this, both Todd and I ultimately did wind up at the University of Kentucky, where we starred in intramural basketball at the University of Kentucky. So just talking a little bit about my career, John read my bio, so you can pretty much kind of sum it up in 4 parts. I kind of worked in the technical field. I was a designer, and then kind of became a project manager. And then I kind of was a policy maker. And then sum it up where I'm at now, I'm kind of a mentor to other project managers and helping out on some priority projects in transportation that Governor Beshear has. He wants to get accomplished during his remaining years. Project management, just kind of wanting to, that foundation that Hardin County Schools put in me with problem solving and teamwork. I kind of just want to share and kind of explain when I went to the Louisville Bridges. As I said, the first 18 years were kind of spent in Elizabethtown, where, a big project we worked on at that time was probably $10 million. And my teammates were all engineers, and the boss was an engineer there at the local office. So I went to Louisville and went from $10 million to this $4 billion monster. And Secretary Prather knows this. The boss on that job was clearly Governor Steve Beshear. He was clearly the boss on this job. So, and we had a team that was just not filled with engineers. It was filled with financial professionals, attorneys, and communication experts. And I soon learned to shoot less, team more. So it was just that. And I'll kind of share three key decisions just on the Louisville Bridges that that I had a privilege to be a part of. The first, and Secretary Prather went to bat on this one. He's here today. The first thing we needed, there was no way that the Louisville bridges at $4 billion. We have 120 counties in Kentucky, you all are well aware of. There's not enough pie to go around to the 120 counties, and there's no way this one project could suck up all the funds of the capital program that we have around the state. So Governor Beshear at the time, he was very supportive of getting this legislation passed at the point in time that would incorporate, tolling, we'll just say it, into the project. It would create an authority that could finance the project with tolling as a background to it. That was the first key step, and that happened in the summer of 2009. So we got the authority established, working with a lot of business leaders then on that authority and these financial experts and stuff. And our cabinet, we soon recognized that $4 billion was even too big a bite for tolling as a supplemental portion to what we could provide to the table. It was just too big. So I'll never forget, in the background, our engineering team, we were working on some value engineering ideas. And one of the Louisville Bridges project is made up as an extension of the Gene Snyder Freeway on the east side of Louisville, building a new bridge across the Ohio River. And it's also improving I-65 in downtown Louisville, where Interstate 64, Interstate 65, and Interstate 71 come together. It's commonly known as Spaghetti Junction at that point in time. And it's going to build a new bridge and try to clear up that. Well, Spaghetti Junction, where all that came together, was one of the biggest costs of the project. And the original plan was that was going to be shifted to the south of its current location and kind of a little bit of urban renewal, clean up a lot of old industry down there. And the 40 acres that Spaghetti Junction occupied was going to be freed up and provided to waterfront development there where the Big Four Bridge is, if you're familiar with Louisville area. Well, that was the biggest expense on the project, and we had looked at some value engineering. So we went into Governor Beshear's office and wrote out this plot across the conference room table, and we have all his people there, him and the assistant coaches. You had Larry Bond, Larry Hayes, Governor Beshear, and then Secretary Hancock and myself. So I'm explaining that to them, and of course it was a big deal to clean up that industry and give that 40 acres to Waterfront Park. And Governor Beshear said, let's go to newly elected Mayor Fisher and see if he will go for this or whatever, and he did. So that was one key step in getting the project down from $4 billion to $2.4 to make it more affordable, and that was one part. The next critical hurdle, I'll say, and it wasn't a hurdle, again, it's problem solving and teamwork, is Indiana wanted to finance this project a different way than what Kentucky did. The whole point of the authority that was being created was create this new revenue source that's within this authority here that would keep debt off the state books. But didn't want to crowd out the construction of schools and stuff, and you all get that in education. Didn't want to crowd that out. So Indiana wanted to do a public-private partnership, and our financial experts told us the type of public-private partnership they were looking into. The Moody's, the credit rating agencies out there, they would consider that state on the debt books. It was a non-starter for us. So I was in Indianapolis with some of our financial folks and our counterparts in Indiana, and the Ohio River wasn't necessarily the dividing line. It was east-west between the East End connection and the 65 downtown. Am I done? No. So we planted that seed. Steve Schultz was Governor Daniels in Indiana's general counsel, and he was appointed kind of this executive director of this authority. Kind of we talked about that, and so they went back, and Governor Daniels called Governor Beshear. We were in the office together and whatever. He said, why don't we finance the East End and we'll build it and you take the downtown or whatever. So another problem solved. So there was a lot of stuff that went on, and I've been told I should write a book. I just wanted to kind of share those three things. The bottom line is all about problem solving and teamwork, and Hardin County Schools was a big part of that for me in getting me where I am today, and I want to thank you all for that.
Thank you, Mr. Valentine. Miss Mary Cooper Young is a 1988 graduate of North Hardin High School and a 1993 Murray State University alum. She earned a bachelor's degree in finance with an emphasis in banking. Ms. Young has worked for the Sicilian Bank for 22 years and currently serves as Senior Vice President. She handles the daily operations of nearly 20 banking centers. She is a leader in the banking industry and in the community. This is her 36th year in the banking profession. She is a graduate of the Kentucky Bankers Association General Banking School and represented Kentucky on the Bank Advisory Board at the University of Wisconsin-Madison's Graduate School of Banking. She is the past president of the Vine Grove Chamber of Commerce and is past president and treasurer of the Radcliffe Rotary Club. She is a Paul Harris Fellow, recognized by Rotary International. Ms. Young was the chairperson for the United Way 2023 Workplace Campaign, and she currently serves on the board of directors for the Knox Regional Development Alliance, an organization that protects and promotes Fort Knox to its economic impact on the greater Fort Knox region and the Commonwealth. She is also a current member of Heels Together, an arm of the Central Kentucky Community Foundation that focuses on women-led solutions by providing leadership and stewardship in identifying the needs and supporting solutions for women and girls. Please help me welcome and congratulate Ms. Mary Cooper Young.
Thank you. I read recently that people cannot generally name the 5 wealthiest people in the world or tell you who won the last Heisman Trophy or even Pulitzer Prize winners. But if you ask that same group of people, they can instantly tell you a teacher that made an impact on their lives, that changed their lives, that meant something to them. So I found that a fascinating fact, and I thoroughly agreed with it. My personal school career began at Vine Grove Elementary School. My teachers were Mrs. Miller, Mrs. Short, Mrs. Rosenberger, Mrs. Lockard, Mr. Jaggers, and Mrs. Percival. Now, I tell you that because I didn't have to look at the paper to tell you that. I didn't even have to think about it when I typed it out for my notes. I remember that all these years later. Now, a funny story is that Mrs. Nancy Lockard, who has passed away now, she was my 4th grade teacher. Fast forward many years forward, and our oldest son had Nancy Lockard for 4th grade at Vine Grove Elementary School. So I went in for the parent-teacher conference that everyone has to have. I walked in, Miss Lockard and I sat down, and we just stared at each other. And I said, I think I should have brought my mom. And she said, I feel like you should have too. So that was just a coming-of-age story that really always meant a lot to both of us. I then went to James T. Alton Middle School. I went there when it was 2 buildings. And you haven't lived until you have changed classes in the rain and the snow and the sleet and everything else in between the main building and the block building at James T. Alton Junior High School. North Hardin High School, Lieutenant Colonel, before there were windows. I had that in my notes as well, because honestly, if you know, you know. Thanks to the close proximity to Fort Knox, North Hardin High School always has been and still is a melting pot of diversity and cultures that served me and the rest of the students very well. I have taken that into my career, dealing with different customers, coworkers, vendors, all different walks of life, and that experience that I had at North Hardin High School really did help pave the way for that. I'm incredibly blessed in my life that I always had the love and support of 2 wonderful parents, Bob and Dee Dee Cooper. Even though they had very busy careers, they were always present throughout my educational experiences in Hardin County schools. If there was an event that parents could volunteer to chaperone or volunteer to be a part of, behind the scenes, my parents were always there, mainly because I was the one that volunteered them to be there. There is something about that younger child that likes to volunteer their parents to do things. I don't know what it is. But they would have been there anyway. Speaking of my parents, we did lose both of them in 2022, so I feel particularly blessed and honored today that I have their dearest friends and my secondary parents, Joe and Jenny Prather, here with us today. I appreciate them being here. It is just like having my parents here. Lastly, I do want to mention that Hardin County Schools has played a big part of our life also with my husband Sam and I. Anytime we ever looked to invest in our home or where we were going to set up for our children, we always, the first question, is it in the Hardin County Schools District? Because that was very, very important to us. Our oldest son graduated from John Hardin High School in 2006, and our youngest son, Richard, graduated from North Hardin High School, go Trojans, in 2012. So it was always very important to us that our children got the same learning and educational opportunities that I had. And just like my parents, Sam and I volunteered. Anytime you could volunteer to chaperone or work behind the scenes, anything like that. And mainly it was because our youngest child volunteered us to be there. But we would have been there anyway, proudly and happily. And I just want to thank you again for this wonderful honor. And it is an honor truly to be part of the Distinguished Alumni. Thank you.
I was telling Richard, he is now an attorney that represents Hardin County Schools, and I'm like, I don't like talking to you as often as I enjoy talking to your mother. No offense. It is. So, and with Bryce and your wife, it's a toss-up years ago. I'm not sure who I didn't want to be in front of the most. One sort of led to the other. But this event helps us educators to reflect on their impact. Each of you mentioned teachers, coaches, and just it is such a bright spot. This is one of my favorite events of the entire year because it gives us the opportunity to see the work that our teachers have done and our administrators and our coaches. We invite them to be here, however, they each know that being in their buildings is the #1 priority. We have been working to construct the Hardin County Schools profile of a learner. You may have heard profile of a graduate, but we realize in Hardin County Schools, you have to start with the youngest of youngest children. We have cradle school, preschool, and then we start into our elementary, middle, and high schools. There is a lot to be done from beginning to end. After receiving feedback from our staff, parents, community, stakeholders, we have clearly defined 5 competencies, and it is such a bright spot to hear you all reflect on those competencies today. These competencies are responsible citizen, and you certainly heard that today, personal champion, engaged learner, effective communicator, and active collaborator. And I'm like Mr. Valentine, I don't think I want you defending me, not prosecuting me, by the way. We are introducing these competencies to our students this year and to our community. We hopefully are learning that the work ethic they bring to the classroom today, and by using these, applying these competencies, they have been blossoming and will have all that they need to succeed. Since we announced these honorees this year, I have heard so many wonderful things, and they wholeheartedly agree. This group of distinguished alumni are self-made success stories with the assistance of a few friends. No one gave them their start. Each one has worked hard in his or her own chosen profession and has become a state, national, and international leader. Their work ethic has carried them to the top, and we cannot adequately say how proud we are of each of you. It doesn't matter the job title they have. This year's honorees have emerged and become distinguished alums because of their determination and drive. Before we depart, please help me again and thank the students who prepared our meal. They're not here, but we'll let them watch on TV, so if you'll give them a round of applause. We appreciate each of you being here for this ceremony today. Please stay and have conversations. I think we had some cross references of individuals who know one another who you may not have known were going to be in the room today. We would like to get pictures of our 5 distinguished alumni and the stand-in dad back there, but we would ask that you all come up front. But again, please feel free to stay and surround yourself with greatness. Thank you.